Milton. I'm the school counselor for the incoming class of 2022 for 7th graders at CMS next year. I just wanted to give you this video as an explanation of things that I've been doing, a lesson that I've run with students in 6th grade as they transition to help with that process. So the first thing that I do when I have been going to each of the elementary schools was discuss the essential questions, and my goal was to give them some strategies that they can use to thrive in middle school. First thing that we do is we identify what does thrive mean. We define that as a class, and then emphasize the fact that I want to see every single student succeed, to excel as they come to middle school. We have a video that we use for this process to facilitate conversation, and I asked the students to identify 2 different fears that the kids in the video had about going to middle school in their context, and then one thing that those students did to thrive when they made that transition. The video was made by a school out in Spokane, Washington, and I think it does a really good job of demonstrating some of the things that are typical fears that all students might have as they come to middle school. So I'll just give you a quick taste of that video. If you wanted to see the whole thing, we've uploaded it to the CMS blog. But here you go. Here's just a couple minutes of it.
When I came into middle school, I had some really good friends in elementary school, but I was super scared I wasn't going to see them at all, or my locker wasn't going to open, or even how to, and how am I going to handle all the teachers.
I was afraid of the middle school drama and all that stuff, but it's really easy to stay out of if you just choose your friends wisely.
Not all my friends from elementary school were going to the same middle school as me. That was probably my biggest fear.
My biggest fear was probably the lunch table. I was so scared at lunch because I thought I wouldn't know anybody.
The homework.
Lots of homework and not knowing where to go.
Definitely getting to my classrooms on time because it's a big school.
For me, it was probably figuring out if I could open my locker on the first day of school.
I was definitely first scared of the lockers.
When I came in, lockers are pretty easy.
You definitely get the hang of things after a few days or so.
It just took me a week to kind of catch the hang of it, and I wasn't really scared of it anymore.
So that just gives you a little taste. If you want to see the whole video, again, that'll be on CMS's blog. Then after the video, we did have a discussion with the class and asked them to identify the fears that they heard and some of the ways that those students learned to thrive. And the interesting thing is that although this is students from the other side of the United States, they had a lot of the same fears and concerns moving to middle school. So we talk about that a little bit, how the things that they're feeling, pretty normal, pretty typical, and the fact that they can thrive, they can overcome some of those concerns. Then I get into some of the strategies that I know of that can help every student to succeed. One of the simple ones is just breathing. So we do a breathing exercise to help students calm themselves down if they're feeling anxious, or to help them make a wise choice if they're in a tough situation. So we do that together. We also talk about choosing their friends wisely, identifying characteristics of a good friend, and then characteristics of a person that we might want to put a little bit more distance in between ourselves and the other person. The third tip that I emphasize again and again in this lesson is practicing. One of the students comments that it's easier when you repeat the steps. So it's easier going through the schedule when you just do it every single day, the same thing over and over again. And I wanted to emphasize that and tie that to homework and academics, that as you go through and you do the same practice over and over again, it becomes easier. Then we talk about locks. I actually take 5 different locks with me to each of the presentations that I've made, and students have a chance to try out the locks. Not everyone can do it during the course of the lesson, but I leave those locks with the 6th grade teachers so that any student that wants to has a chance to practice a little bit. We also talk about if the students aren't able to use that practice, that they could talk to parents, and maybe parents might have one of these lying around, or even be willing to buy one so that they can practice over the summer. This one change can actually go a long way towards alleviating a lot of students' fears about middle school. So we talk about how to unlock a lock, right 3 times, left 2 times, and right directly to the number. We also talk about the schedule. I'm not going to go into that in detail here because we have another video posted on the CMS blog about this specifically. The key is that Flex, I really emphasize the fact that Flex can be used to complete homework. That's a great opportunity for students to do that. We also, the video continues by talking about the best thing of middle school, and also what advice would 6th graders, the current 8th graders in this video, give to their 6th grade selves. One of the things that students commented on again and again in these videos was getting involved in extracurriculars, and I really encouraged all students, all 7th graders who are coming in next year, to get involved in at least one activity, because this can go a long way towards getting connected with friends and finding some positive interactions with other peers. We talked about 3 other tips. One of the students in the video said that on the first day she was so nervous, but she told herself, just take a chill pill, right? And so we talk about positive self-talk, the fact that you can just encourage yourself, okay, you got this, you're going to make it. One of the counselors at another building said that her husband tells her son, act like you've been there. So we talk about this, that just go in, act like you've been there, and you'll be fine throughout the day. Once again, I emphasize the fact that students should be doing their homework. This can make a huge impact in their grades. And the final one is that self-advocacy piece of asking questions. When a student doesn't understand something or is concerned or confused, they should ask a question. Teachers will be stepping back a little bit to give students more responsibility. And so as we make that transition, we really want to make sure that students learn to advocate for themselves. So the way that we end, we talk about what one step from this lesson students would be willing to try to implement between now and the end of the school year, because the habits now will influence and inform how a student performs next year as they come to Centerville Middle School. So that's a brief overview of this lesson. So hopefully it gives you an idea of what we are giving to students as they transition to our building. If you have questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call. Thanks so much.